Alright, so ready for some gluing. I've found a whole bunch of rubber bands, and that's what I'm going to need to glue this down here. So, I'm on. So as I glue this, I'm just thinking ahead to how I'm going to get that cover working. And if you remember from when I was fitting it, it was very important to get the slots in at the middle. So what I'm going to do as I do this is I'm going to glue the slots first, get them all in place, and then I will come back starting at the front and bend and fix step by step, moving down from the front all the way to the end. So by that time, glue here is going to be nice and tacky. So it should work perfectly. Let's see, and this last little piece, it just doesn't go that far down here. It just goes down around about there. All right. So we put, I think if I remember correctly, I said we get the back ends in first, because they're a little fiddlier. So let's do that. It slots in nicely. There's the slot there. And I'm just trying to eyeball it to get the slot in the right place. There it is. It clips in there. And then the next one up clips in. And the next one up clips in, the next one up clips in, and so now we're all clipped in. All right, so that having been said, now I'm going to bend the front around and fix it in place. So that basically, I'm being careful with my other finger to not break anything on the underside. So what I'm going to do here is, if you remember, I did this before with the other one. I tie this around here, and then I actually took the rubber band and tied it around these two things here to give us this that push it that we need to hold it down. So that's done there. That worked. Now we need to do the next one. The same thing will happen with this one here. I think I'm going to take it around the bottom end of those guys. Bring it in from here. That'll work. From this end. Around there. And then that needs to basically bend down so that we get a nice smooth edge here, and then we'll use the elastic band to keep it in place. So one end around there. Oops, careful, don't break anything. And one end around there, and there we go. So that's not too bad. It's not quite holding as tight as I want around here. And so I think I'm going to use another one. But before I do that, I'm actually going to put some more glue on the join, because in the end that join is going to be quite important. We want to have it as smooth a join as possible, and then, you know, to give it that kind of round feeling, because in the real model, this is actually a sheet of metal. It's one sheet of metal that goes all the way around, that has been basically bent. It's not made of wood in the real plane, the actual Sopwith pup itself. So ideally the goal is to get to the point where we can make it look like a sheet of metal. So what I'm going to do, because we have a former here as well, I am actually going to try and get that to twist down, which I think maybe if we use a peg might work. So I'm going to put that in here and twist it around a couple of times, so that we've got a fairly tight hold. One more time, and then a bit underneath. Push that down. See, it still seems a little loose. I feel like I want to hold that tighter, and maybe I'll come back and do that later, because I don't want to forget that I've got to get the rest of this glued down. Otherwise the glue will dry. So are we good with those? We haven't lost our spots. So the part of the fuselage here, it's the same story. We're going to need a rubber band to hold that part tight against the fuselage there. And so we basically push that down, hold with the fingers, and then twist and tighten. And I think I'll use a peg again to do the twist. So twist that down, tighten into place a few more times so we get a nice strong firm hold, and then hook that in underneath so that it doesn't fly away, and that's needs to go a little bit over closer to where the former is. So I have to be careful about that. Slot that in like that. You know what? I'm going to do it with the other end and use the peg itself to hold it. There we go, so it doesn't unwind. So we really don't want to have that unwind while it's drying. And the same thing here. You know, what we do have is just the smallest gap. When I say the smallest, well, it's a gap, so it's not small enough. I'm going to put a bit of glue in here, and then we'll see later on how that works out, but we may end up having to use a little bit of wood filler to make it look pretty. And that's all possible because wood is such a wonderful material to work with. So there we go. That's actually quite nice there. And now let's go down to the next part. Let's see. I'm probably gonna, I'm gonna want to do. So the next part is actually here. So, but I also have a former just here. So actually, what I'm going to do. So you notice I have two tags here that I actually want to put some glue in so that I can get them to hold a little bit. Feed a little bit more glue in there so that when I get them to come together, there's something that's holding it. And let's get a rubber band and another peg here to twist it into place so we get a firm hold. Now, I'm going to just proceed a little further down with this and then come back to it because it's starting to feel, I don't know, it's just a feeling that I have, but it's starting to feel to me now like that if I finish off the end, that's going to help bring all the other pieces together. So, so I think that's what I want to do. Glue in there so that this, and again we're gonna, so that's got to bend around there, and you can feel when you bend it that it bends perfectly into place, and so really it's just a question of getting it to stay long enough in that right place till the glue can dry. And that last part at the end, well, there we go, that's that last part at the end is definitely sort of bending at the that sort of hash mark, the dotted line there, because it's basically going perfectly into place around the slots. So that's actually coming together nicely. I think I'm going to put one more rubber band around where this former is. Let's maybe do this one from the bottom. And you know what? That's starting to feel like a good idea. Now I do it from the bottom. The rubber band actually forms around the edge of the of that top fuselage piece quite nicely, and so I think that might be how I'm going to go back and redo some of those others the same way. So I'm just going to clip that good there, and I'm going to undo this one. Swing it around, let the rubber band smoothly hold that down there as it basically needs to be, and then twist it into place here so that the twist and the peg part doesn't get into the way of the part that's actually being glued. So I think that seems like maybe quite a good idea. go. And then I can already feel that feels, you know, that's actually quite nice. Coming together. So I don't know if I need to fix any of the others, but what's actually happening now is that we're pretty close, right? We've got the top piece of the fuselage all fitted into place, curving over where it needs to be, forming a circle at the front, a circle here, and just what I'm finding is just at these two spots here, it just keeps wanting to come away to sort of open up that gap. The glue, the rubber band is just not quite holding it down sufficiently, and I'm kind of hesitant to pull tighter. But I don't know, maybe that's something I should think about doing, because pulling that tighter is actually working. All right, so maybe it's just that one piece there. So again, a touch more glue where I can see the gaps. Remembering this is wood glue. If there's a little bit of excess, it'll sand away smoothly later. So it's, you know, in a sense, you know, you don't want to overdo it, obviously, but in some ways, for this, more is better. It's interesting. It's come up. It's a nice cleaner fit on the other side than it is on this side. So it's going to have to do a little bit of work on this part to get these bits to sort of smoothly slide into place and tack down enough so that they don't, so that I can let the glue cure without having to hold it. And I just wonder if putting another plate in there might be a good idea. Or tightening it some more. That's the one I already tightened. I don't want to tighten that anymore. See what's happening? It's just the tiniest bit of pressure on that piece of wood is sort of pushing it away. I do feel like my finger pressure here, that if I can maintain it for long enough, it's going to give me, you know, enough strength in the joint that that I can just let it dry.